Hey, good morning, sports fans. If you were with us for our last tech corner, whatever it is, I don't even know what to call it, but I do upgrades and projects on my 1992 300ZX twin turbo, nicknamed Little Red, on Post Us to the Baddest YouTube channel. So if you're watching this channel and you want to do some of the things that I've done, namely install a Walbro 485 custom fuel solution that included a Autometer 16307 dedicated fuel harness for the pump, intake setup with specially Z installation kit, which includes a billet aluminum bracket that places the Walbro 485 down exactly where it needs to be in the tank, and not to leave out radium engineering, Walbro 485 internal and 30 amp 10 gauge pass-through harnesses, which are aeromotive grade, they're aircraft grade connectors. So that tech tip is up here. Yesterday we reinstalled the auxiliary fan and relocated the transmission cooler to the under right hand side, under about the passenger compartment, approximately under the passenger seat, under the car. Yes, it's not an ideal location. There's no room for it in the nose. When we put the auxiliary fan back in, the oil cooler and the colder intake take up the rest of that area. So we reinstall, auxiliary fan is in, transmission cooler relocated. At some point we're going to try to fabricate a shield for the cooler, because I like it to stay right where it is. It's mounted on bushing mounts that we found in our upgrade kit drawer for the Z. So we've kept every bolt, nut, and screw of every upgrade we've ever done to the car, which are considerable number, and found these perfect mounts that are rubber mounts that stand off the transmission cooler about probably about a ½ inch down from the bed of the floor pan, allowing air to pass on both sides, which is great. But it still could, of course, get hit by debris, whatever. I try not to hit debris in the Z, but it could happen. So we're going to finish that project at a later date. Today, what you see in front of you is we have a AEM Performance Electronics 30-0309 X Series boost pressure gauge. It's a 15 psi SAE boost gauge, and right behind it you see a Autometer triple pillar gauge cluster. We're going to be relocating the Zytronic ZT4 AFR gauge, which is currently mounted just to the right hand side of the steering wheel on the dash right there. We're going to relocate it over to this cluster. We already have an AEM GPS speedo mounted in the car in a single cluster configuration, and then we're going to add this boost gauge. So we're going to have all three aftermarket gauges in this cluster. Hopefully it's going to look really cool. The fun part is getting down and working in the driver's floorboard of the Z, and anyone that has a Z32 that's ever spent time doing wiring and pulling wiring and hoses around the kick panel area of a twin turbo or Z32 NA. You know, it's just a tons of fun. I can't wait to do it, but we're doing it. It's happening, and hopefully here it'll probably take us about 4, maybe 5 hours, because we're going to go slow. Don't know exactly how we're going to route the this is the electrical connections and the boost sensor connection for the AEM boost gauge. It connects to this boost sensor, which is inside this fitting, and then another fitting goes on it, and then your vacuum line. We already do know where we're going to put the connect for a vacuum source. I'm just going to walk out slowly and show you where that is on the Z, and that would be the rest of this intro clip. So pardon the walking out to the garage and grabbing a flashlight, which is already in the Z. So you see we've already got the seat all the way back. This trim piece has to come off. This trim piece, there's a kick panel piece right here that has to come out, and that'll reveal the fuse box area that we're going to be working, because we have to wire in this 12 volt positive ignition source. But I'm going to come around here and show you where we're going to get our vacuum. So if you see right here on the back of the manifold, I have a blue vacuum cap on there now. But this, originally when I got this car, they were pulling vacuum for the driver's side HKS blow-off valve from here. That valve was, those valves were frozen up. I don't know if they got rained, water, whatever, but they never worked. But we have HKS SSQ V4 blow-off valves in now, the black ones with the red turbines inside. They work great. What we did was we pulled the vacuum for the left-hand side right off this center tap that was already in the manifold and was capped off. So they had it on this, basically goes to the ABS. So they're pulling vacuum here for the ABS braking system. We're gonna grab this little, where that little blue cap is. We're gonna be installing the vacuum line for the AEM boost gauge right there. We're gonna feed it back, probably get it back to this wiring harness right here and let it follow that around, and then down. It's gonna go down and go through the engine bay. Actually it's gonna go right through that hole. So you see that hole looks pretty full. We're gonna make it bigger, but we have a couple of openings. There's one right down by the driver, by the kick panel, not the kick panel, the fuse panel on this car, and it's a pretty bigger opening. You can't see it. This we probably won't use this one, but we have another one down there that we use to run the positive 12-volt trigger wire for this. You see the shiny red and black. That is the Aeromotive Stealth fuel pump harness. So we used a hole down there. We're going to do that again. Hopefully all this works out, and we'll give you some updates along the way. So there's your intro. AEM boost gauge install and Autometer triple gauge cluster install.